Today our topic of discussion is menstrual cycle and its regulations. So there are some probable questions I have seen which are asked in your university exams. That questions comes in different forms. So you can check and prepare yourselves accordingly. Yes, these are the questions. In different ways it can be asked. The main thing is there. If you learn different menstrual cycle, and it will be happening to ovarian changes as well as uterine changes. So we will be discussing both the changes, and the main aspect is hormonal regulations. So this hormonal part regulation is important. Either it is for ovarian change, also for uterine change. So everything is controlled by the hormones. Okay. So these are the questions. Take the photos. I will not take much time for here. So I think we have taken this. And before I start, I want to ask one question. We are living beings, isn't it? All living organisms has certain characteristics. Okay? That's why we tell them these are living and these are not non-living. The stable is non-living. Can you tell me some characteristics of living being? My goodness. First thing is reproduction. There are a lot of features, lot of characteristics for living organisms which are absent in non-living things. Living organisms are made up of cells, tissues, isn't it? They have metabolism, they have respirations, okay? They respond to stimuli, they have adaptive power, isn't it? They have reproduction. Now, why do living organisms have this reproduction? Why? What is the need? Only one purpose. Every species of the living organism, every species, they want continuation of their species. Even in the coming days, when they will not be there, their species should remain. So that is the purpose. That's why in the living organism, reproduction is there. And this reproduction is of two types, sexual and bisexual. In higher organisms like primates, they are having sexual reproduction. For sexual reproduction, there is male and female. The male produces gametes, the female produces gametes. When these gametes unite, then new organism is formed. So, there is living organism in the male, there are certain living reproductive organs, and in the female there are reproductive organs. So in the female, reproductive organs are designed in such a manner that it can produce the offspring, and in a particular manner when it is ready to give offspring, that time it is fully developed, and there is a system synchronized to a controlled by the hormones. Reproduction is fully controlled by the endocrine system. Remember it. Without endocrine system, without endocrine support, reproduction is never possible. Okay? Now, which endocrine system controls your I will fix my discussion only on female reproductive system. So, either it is male or female. In the female reproductive system, all the reproductive function, reproductive cycle, it is controlled by The endocrine system. Which endocrine system? Which hormones? And who among their hormones? Now, who is the master of these hormones? Who is the master? Master gland. Can you tell me? Who is the master? If this master is not there, there will not be reproduction. Huh? What? No. GnRH. She is correct. Where from it is synthesized? Hypothalamus. Okay. We have hypothalamus. And it is the master gland that controls the reproductive system. Okay. Now hypothalamus, what it does? It has two nucleus. Can you name one? You have studied nervous system. One important nucleus. Okay, one is arcuate nucleus. Its shape is like an arc. What is nucleus? What is nucleus? Huh? Nucleus is, in the nervous system, by nucleus we mean the cell bodies, aggregation of cell bodies. And these cell bodies perform certain functions. Arcuate nucleus, the cell bodies are arranged like an arc. That's why they are called arcuate nucleus. This arcuate nucleus is supported by another nucleus. What is this? We have supraoptic nucleus. They are supporting. Now, what is there in the arcuate nucleus? The arcuate nucleus, the cell bodies, they prepare one hormone. Rather, we will say they produce some releasing hormone, releasing factor. They also produce inhibitory factor, inhibitory hormones, to control the activity of the pituitary gland. So, the hypothalamic arcuate artery in this nucleus, they control the activity of the anterior pituitary hormones. There are a lot of anterior pituitary hormones, you know that, isn't it? One of the hormone is gonadotrophin, isn't it? And actually gonadotrophins are two types. One is LH, luteinizing hormone. Another is follicular stimulating hormone, FSH. Okay? Same nucleus of hypothalamus, they secrete GnRH, gonadotrophin releasing hormone. Okay, these are peptide hormones. Now, how these hormones will come to pituitary? This is hypothalamus. Here, there is a stalk, and this is the pituitary. This is anterior pituitary, posterior pituitary. These posterior pituitary hormones What are the posterior pituitary hormones? Vasopressin, oxytocin. Okay. These hormones are released from the posterior, but they don't synthesize it. They don't synthesize it. Actually, these are synthesized in the hypothalamus. Okay. How these hormones, posterior pituitary hormones, comes from hypothalamus into the posterior pituitary. How? It comes through blood or through something else. Huh? Through nerves, through a tract. This tract is called hypothalamic-hypophyseal tract. These are nerves, axons are there. These axons, the cell bodies are in hypothalamus, supraoptic and paraventricular nucleus. So the cell bodies from this axon comes and opens into the posterior pituitary. So from supraoptic nucleus and paraventricular nucleus, the nerve endings here. So when stimulation comes, oxytocin or vasopressins are released. There are capillaries, into the capillary they are released into the extracellular fluid. From extracellular fluid it enters into the blood, then it spreads through circulation throughout the body. But the arcuate artery, arcuate nucleus. So this is the arcuate nucleus, and here are the cell bodies. These cell bodies are synthesizing GnRH. So they are synthesizing GnRH. Now how it will come here in the anterior pituitary? How it will come? Whether through nerve or something else? Through blood. How? Through some blood vessels. What is this blood vessel? Through some veins. Can you name these veins? Hypothalamic-hypophyseal portal system. Hypothalamic-hypophyseal portal system. Two things. One is tract, hypothalamic-hypophyseal tract. Through this, the posterior pituitary hormones from hypothalamus comes to posterior pituitary, and the GnRH and other releasing hormones that are controlled like growth hormone, ACTH, they are also controlled by the pituitary. They also secrete releasing hormones. So these hormones along with GnRH, they come to here through portal vein. So here they are released into anterior pituitary. Now what this GnRH will do? Here, gonadotropin releasing hormone, what they will do here? In the anterior pituitary, there are different types of cells. Some cells, corticotroph, they will be producing corticotrophic hormone. There are somatotrophs, they will be producing somatotropic hormone, growth hormone. There are gonadotrophs. Okay, in the anterior pituitary, there are what? Gonadotrophs. Now these gonadotrophs will be produced gonadotrophins, means LH and FSH. The same cell will be producing LH and FSH. This part is important. Okay. Anterior pituitary, this is the gonadotroph cells. Okay. These cells are responsible for production of LH and FSH. Now we will see these cells, they don't produce LS and FSH in same quantity and same intensity, in same frequency, though the cell is same. Now, when they will secrete LS and when they will secrete FSH, we'll see in the reproductive cycle, sometimes LS secretion is much more. At that time, FSH secretion is not that much. Sometimes we will find there is more FSH secretion, there is less LS secretion. How it is done? What is the mechanism? For that mechanism, hypothalamus devised a procedure. It secretes GnRH in pulsatile manner. Your pulse, after some time you get the pulse. Similarly, the arcuate nucleus, they secrete GnRH in pulsatile manner. And depending on these pulses, how many pulses are coming, at what interval, okay, that is one thing. And how long one pulse continues for some, what is the period through 5 to 25 seconds. When one pulse starts secreting a GnRH, this pulse stays for how much? 5 to 25 seconds. So during this time, there is continuously, there will be, during this period, there will be secretion of GnRH. So this is one pulse. Thereafter, for 1 to 2 hours, there will not be any pulse. Okay? So again there will be pulse. Okay. The pulses, now when these pulses are rapid, then FSH is secreted. But when LS is secreted? After every 90 minutes. After every 90 minutes. Means one pulse. Because of this pulse, there may be secretion of only FSH, and there is another pulse after 90 minutes, and this will cause secretion of FSH. So in this way, hypothalamus decides these pulses will decide gonadotroph, this says whether it has to produce LS or FSH. So production of LS and FSH depends on what? On the pulses, its frequency, its magnitude. That determines when and what gonadotropin will be produced by the cells. Is that clear? Okay. Now, it is saying if the secretion of GnRH to gonadotroph is continuous, what will be the result? No secretion of LS, no secretion of FSH, no reproduction, no reproductive cycle. No secretion? No. That means what? The pulsatile secretion of this hypothalamic hormones is necessary for maintaining reproductive cycle. Clear? Okay. When these are stimulated, the cells are stimulated by the GnRH, they will form FSH and LS. These are gonadotrophins. Now, what are their actions? They will be from here, they will be released into the blood, and these hormones, LS or FSH, their target organ is, where they will act? On the ovaries. Their only site of action is the ovaries. Okay? They will act on the ovaries. The ovaries, when you were in embryonic stage, you were in your mother's womb, did you have at that time ovaries? Yes, you had. And whether your ovaries had the ovum at the time? Yes, you had the ovum. And whether this ovum is matured or immature? Why it is immature? It started meiotic division. At that time it started meiotic division, but it is halted at prophase. And when, see, your ovaries are ready with ovum, and it has started meiotic division, and halted at prophase. Further, maturation is ceased. When it will be completed? Further maturation. This ova, when going to be ovulated, when it will be ovulated? After you attain puberty. So during this much time, 12 years plus embryonic life, during this period, this ova remain in that phase. Okay? Your ovary, yours ovary, during embryonic life, do you know how many your ovaries having lot of follicles in the cortex, isn't it? Lot of follicles. These follicles are called primordial follicles. What? Primordial follicles. How many primordial follicles you had when you were in embryonic stage? 7 to 8 million. 7 to 8 million of primordial follicles. All the primordial follicles are having ovum. And before taking birth, this number came down to 2 million. All other degenerated. And when you became puberty, you entered in your reproductive life. How many primordial follicles you had at the time? 33 lakhs. Only 3 to 4 lakhs. So, suppose she is in pubertal stage, her age is 12 years. At that time, how many primordial follicles she is having? 3 to 4 lakhs. So, lot of ovum she is having. And out of this, can we assess how many ovum will become matured? Can you tell me? Only 450 to 460. So whatever the primordial follicles you are having, only 450 to 460, 70 primordial follicles ovary are actually useful, effective. And they are capable, these are capable of producing of fertilization, of producing offspring. So every month you are losing lot of follicles. Okay? In future, every cycle, one follicle is matured out of all. At a time, in a cycle, in a reproductive cycle, in menstrual cycle, 7 to 10 to 12, primordial follicle starts to develop. How many? There is recruitment. Okay, you develop. From day 5, day 6, day 7, you develop this much. There are a lot of follicles, only this much follicles start to develop. Okay. Recruited. Okay. Now, the system, we will choose among these which one is the fittest one at the 8th day. And out of these 7, 8, 10, 12 members of follicles, one will be chosen. Maybe from the right ovary, it may be from the left ovary. One will be chosen. If 2 is chosen, there is a chance of twin. But usually, 1 is chosen. I have seen in mother's womb 8 babies, 8 fetuses, ultimately aborted. Some of the trap. Some women, some girls, they suffer from PCODs, polycystic ovarian diseases. This is one kind. That means in such disease, there is no ovulation. Sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't happen. So this is one kind of infertility. So such patients, those suffering from PCODs, they are trying but baby is not coming. So they went to the doctor. So they suggest first that their cycle is also irregular. So they are suggested, they are given stimulation for production of ovum, production of follicles, maturation of follicles, rather maturation. Clomiphene is given. Now clomiphene, lot of numbers of follicles are developed. And 3, 4, if 3, 4 follicles are ovulate, ovulation is there, then there is chances of multiple pregnancy. So clomiphene, use of clomiphene has another effect. There may be more than one aspect, if it is effective at all. Okay, so anyway, that is not the topic now. So, what happens in the ovary? Suppose she planned, she will not marry. I don't have marry, I have lot of ambitions. I'll finish it, then I'll go for post-graduation, then I'll go for super specialty. By this time, she attained 35, 40 years of age. And she had to, get the practice, so establish herself. Then she planned to go for, by this time her age is 40, say 40. Okay? Now see, 40 years, 42 years, some follicles are having ovum waiting in prophase phase, first meiotic division, for these years. When her ovum will be ovulated, then it will enter into the second meiotic division. Then when that follicle, that ovum is going to be fertilized, then meiosis will be completed. So it has to wait for 45 years, 42 years? Are there any wrong waiting for such a long time? Yes. What's wrong? There are chances of mutation in the genetic material of that ovum. It has to wait for a long time. It is, so as a result, what happens at the later, after 40 years, after 30 years, there is chances of abnormal baby because of this. So better to have the planned babies before that. Much before that, before 35 years you should plan. Remember this, it may happen. That's why your doctor or the doctors, the specialists, they advise when there is lot of screening is made so that abnormal baby doesn't come. Chromosomal abnormality doesn't happen. Okay. So we are coming to the main thing. What is this? So what is menstrual cycle? The definition of menstrual cycle. Hello? Definition of menstrual cycle. Everyone. Because in your question, what do you mean by menstrual cycle or what is menstruation? So this is menstrual cycle. Complete definition. What is defined as a cyclic event that take place in a rhythmic fashion in female reproductive organ controlled by hypothalamic-pituitary and ovarian hormones during reproductive period of a woman's life. What is the reproductive period? The period during which a woman is capable of producing offspring. That is the reproductive period. Capable of reproduction. That is the when it starts. When it starts? At puberty. At the age of 12, 13. Okay. And when completes, it is called puberty. From puberty to menopause. When it is? At the age of, I'm coming. These days, 50 years, 51 years. Some women become mother at 51, 52 years also, 53 years also, 55 years also. So what is menarche? When a woman experiences her first menstrual cycle, at what age? That is the age of menarche. That is the age of menarche. Good. So from here, the reproductive life begins and ends in menopause. Why menopause? There is no MC. Because all the storage follicles in the ovary exhausted. No more follicle, Graafian follicle or primordial follicles are present in their ovaries. That's why no reproductives. If the follicle is not there, who will be producing estrogen? Who will be producing progesterone? So no estrogen, no progesterone. So when there is no estrogen, no progesterone, the woman becomes psychologically disturbed at the time. This is called menopausal syndrome. They will suffer, you will suffer menopausal syndrome. Mental and this reproductive cycle, though hypothalamus is controlling the reproductive cycle, another higher center it affects very much. What is this center? your reproductive cycle, your menstrual cycle is disturbed when you are in bad mood. When you are in anxiety, when you are tension, your reproductive cycle is disturbed. Many students, many women has experienced it. And in our brain, which part actually controls our mood, our emotion, our psychology? Limbic system. So, limbic system, it gives happiness, it gives anger, it gives mood. So, by limbic system affects the hypothalamus, and if the limbic system affects the hypothalamus, automatically the hypothalamus control of LH FSH secretion will also be disturbed. Since these two hormones, LH and FSH, controls the function of the ovary, and definitely then ovarian hormones, estrogen, progesterone, will also, secretion of this will also be disturbed. Then they are controlling the uterine activity, uterine endometrium. Okay, that will be disturbed. That means MC will be disturbed. So that's why this axis is very important in controlling the reproductive cycle. Understood? Okay. Now, see, mean duration of the MC, menstrual cycle, 28 days. In some book, plus minus 4 days. But actually, it ranges from 21 to 35 days. If somebody's cycle varies between 21 to 35 days, but it is regular, then it is normal menstrual cycle. If it is less than 21 days or more than 35, this is abnormal. We'll define what are these abnormalities. Then what is the average duration of menstruation? During the bleeding period, it may vary, it may be as low as 3 days and as long as 8 days. If it is more than 8 days, it is abnormal. If it is less than 3 days, it is also abnormal. Normal estimated blood loss, it is 30 ml, but it varies 13 to 80 ml. When it is less than 30 ml, less than 30, scanty, oligomenorrhea. Okay, when it is more than 80, polymenorrhea or menorrhagia. Okay, ovulation, when ovulation occurs, 14 days. At 14th day, what is the day 1? The day 1 is the in a cycle when first bleeding is seen, that is day 1. The day when bleeding starts, that will be the day 1. Okay, so this will continue, the cycle will continue for 28 days. Okay, but it is, seen in only 15 to 70% women. Among you, definitely, not all of you are having MC for 28 days. It varies. It must be, it is usually seen between 8 to 15, 16 days. It may vary from 8 to 16 days. So all the phases of menstrual cycle, all the phases of menstrual, what are the phases? We will discuss. All the phases of the menstrual cycle is done through the interaction between hypothalamus, pituitary, ovaries, and their action. How they see? Pituitary acts on hypothalamus. Hypothalamus acts on pituitary. Pituitary acts on ovaries. Ovaries acts on uterus. So, because of this, their action, FSH, GnRH has no direct effect on uterine endometrium. Only who are having direct effect? Ovarian hormone. Who controls the ovarian function, ovarian hormones? Pituitary. Who controls pituitary? Hypothalamus. So this is the axis. What is the axis? Hypothalamic, pituitary, gonad means ovarian axis. Through this axis, uterine cycle is controlled. If any disturbance in the axis, there will be disturbance in the uterine cycle. Is that clear to you? Okay, fine. Now, you have learned what is menarche, menopause, normal, average is 12.7 years and normally it ranges from 8 to 15 years. And menopause, average is 51.4 years, range is 45 to 55 years. Okay? And changes in menstrual cycle. So let us see what are the changes in the menstrual cycle. So in the menstrual cycle we will find changes in the ovary, changes in the uterus, also in the you will find changes in the blood levels of these hormones. Okay, changes in blood, changes in pituitary, changes in hypothalamus. The change in hypothalamus will cause change in pituitary, change in pituitary will cause change in ovary, change in ovary will cause change in uterus. So remember this. So there will change, and in blood hormonal levels we will find in different phases what are the different these four hormones. What are these four main hormones? LH, FSH, estrogen, and progesterone. See, when this is most important. Hormonal control of menstrual cycle. So, in that case, you are to believe this graph, hormonal level. Okay. So, during this menstrual cycle, you will get changes in the ovaries, changes in the uterus, changes in the cervix, and vaginal changes. So, all these changes are done by these hormonal axes. Okay. Now these changes, we will describe these changes. First we will describe what are the changes taking place in the ovaries, because these changes is going to change the uterus. First see what are the changes that are taking place in the ovary and why these changes, how these changes are taking place by the pituitary hormones. Okay, whatever changes you will see in the ovaries, that is mediated by the pituitary hormone, either by LH or by FSH. Initially by the FSH, then by LH, then their action will be reduced, then everything will be done by estrogen and progesterone. So, in the phases, it will be discussed. We will discuss the ovarian phase into follicular phase and luteal phase. In between there is the day 14, that is the ovulation phase. We will see how ovulation takes place. What is the mechanism, very beautiful mechanism of ovulation. Okay. So in the ovary, how many phases you will get? Actually two. One is follicular, means that time follicle will be developed, follicle will be matured, and definitely, and in the ovulation the matured follicle will be liberated, ovulated. What would be the duration of this phase? Can you tell me? From day 4, day 5. Up to day 5 there is bleeding. From day 5 to day 13. Day 14 is ovulation. So duration of this phase is day 5 or day 6 to day 13. And it happens in day 14. And what is the duration of this luteal phase? The next day from the next day of ovulation, that is day 15 to day 28. And menstrual phase is day 1 to day 5. Okay? So in this way we know what it is. When we will be studying the uterine changes, this nomenclature will be changed. We will find what are this nomenclature. There will be bleeding phase, menstrual phase, menstruation. Thereafter, there will be what? There will be the uterine endometrium will grow by proliferation of the endometrium. That is, it is called proliferative phase. Then there will be, after proliferation, there will be ovulation, and immediately after ovulation, there is change in the debris of the follicle in the Graafian. After when ova is eliminated, the debris retained, the Graafian follicle, it is developed into another type of cells, corpus lutein cells. They will produce lot of progesterone. Remember, without progesterone is essential for maintenance of MC, for maintenance of pregnancy. Some women, they want to defer MC. Suppose her day, in that day, the day of MC, in that day that she is having a program. She has to attend some other program. Very important. At that time, if she gets MC, it will be there. So she wants to defer MC. So how? By taking progesterone. If before the day, she will take progesterone. In the market, these are available. In the pill, these are also having the combination of drugs. However, so by taking, just before MC, by taking progesterone, you can linger. When this drug is taken off, immediately MC starts. Okay. So progesterone is very essential for maintenance as well as pregnancy, and also for maintenance of, when there will be no progesterone, there will be breakdown of endometrial lining. There will be MC. Okay, let's see. These are the pubertal changes. What are the pubertal? I think you have learned what is puberty, what are the pubertal changes, secondary sex character, primary sex characters. You have learned it. Okay. See, this is important. You have to discuss if hormonal regulation is asked. So, see, what is this? Alice. It is day 14. Just one day before, suddenly Alice starts rising. And it causes ovulation. Without this Alice, sudden rise of Alice, this is called Alice surge. And for ovulation, this is very important. How ovulation, this Alice, this increased Alice, how it helps ovulation, we will see. And at that time also FSH rises a little, not to that extent. Thereafter, their level is less. It is inhibited. How it is inhibited, we will discuss. Why it is less? How it is inhibited? Who inhibits it? Increased level of estrogen and progesterone. They inhibit it. Because of high level of estrogen, through negative feedback mechanism, the high level of estrogen and progesterone, they affects the pituitary and suppress the activity of the gonadotropes, and as a result, they secrete less amount of LS and FSH. Okay. Now, what happens here? I will come on by. See, this level, estrogen and progesterone, where is the estrogen? This is estrogen. Gradually rising. Why? Because there is gradually rising FSH. This rising FSH also helps in rising from ovary, helps in production of estrogen. This estrogen, rising level of estrogen in the uterine endometrium, it is the cause. It causes this endometrial thickening. How? Who affects this? Estradiol. Along with some progesterone also supports estrogen in developing this. What is in this endometrium? Endometrium is the innermost lining. You know that outside this is the myometrium and outside the perimetrium, isn't it? So endometrium, there are two layers in the abdomen. One is basalis, another is functional. Endometrium basalis, endometrium functionalis. Basalis remains, but functionalis comes out in every cycle. Actually, in every cycle it develops, and at the end it breaks. And in these, what are these? What are these? White portion? Gap? No, these are glands. These are glands. They secrete mucus. These are glands. This is a secrete mucus. Okay. And you can see there are some spiral vessels. Spiral vessels. Okay, these are arteries and veins. They are supplying nutrient to these cells. Actually, these hormones is planning, they are ovaries making a ova, expecting that this ova will be fertilized, a new offspring will come. So this ova, for this ova, fertilized ova, I have to prepare a bed where it will grow. And this bed should supply sufficient oxygen, sufficient nutrients. Because of this, these arteries, they deposit glycogen, fat in the endometrial tissues. So this area, by the action of the estrogen and by the action of the progesterone, they develop glands. The glands become, the glands are also tortuous, so that more glands can be accommodated, more mucus can be formed. Okay, and the vessels, they are also spiral, so that more blood can be passed into the, and can be drained as well, by supplying the nutrient, everything, depositing these all essential items for the development of the fetus within this bed. So if the ovum is not fertilized, what is the use of this? No use. So ovary, you will find the ova is not fertilized, then what will happen? Corpus luteum will dissolute. So when corpus luteum is dissoluted, no estrogen, no progesterone will be formed. In absence of progesterone, what will happen? These vessels, they will become more tortuous, and some prostaglandin will be secreted from these cells, and they will create spasm. Because of this spasm and some secretion of proteolytic enzymes, collagenase, they will break. The vessels will be broken down here. As a result, no supply of blood. So these will be necrosed, broken down, slaughtered. This endometrium will be slaughtered. So at a time, not the whole. From one side it will be starting, and gradually the rest of the area will come, and it will be finished by 5 days. Okay? About the ovarian changes. What are the ovarian changes that take place during menstruation? So this is the ovarian changes during menstruation. Changes in the ovary in menstrual cycle, it occurs in 2 phases, follicular phase, secretory phase. Why follicular phase named? Because during this time follicles will be maturing. From primordial follicle, here some primordial follicles from the ovary, here you 7 to 8, 9, 12 you come, you start to develop by the influence of the FSHs. If your FSH is secreted at that time, you will see the FSH secretion is more from the pituitary, so some follicles will be recruited and they will be under the action of the FSHs, they will be developing. So, okay, ultimately through different stages, I will discuss, through different stages it will develop into a matured follicle named as yes, Graafian follicle, Graafi, Dutch scientist, he has named it Graaf, his name is Graaf. So Graafian is the matured follicle. So now this Graafian follicle during this period in the follicular phase, it starts from when it starts and when it ends, before the ovulation. During this follicle, a primordial follicle develops into Graafian follicle or pre-ovulatory follicle or antral follicle. Okay, antrum means a faka, is a space, vacuum. So we'll discuss this phase in the ovary. This phase extends from day 5 to, in some book you may get it day 6. Extends from day 5 to the day of ovulation, that is day 15. Okay, day 14, it may be day 14. Okay, as I said, it is not always, remember this thing, it may be it is the average day 15 or day 14, it may be at day 9, I told, it may be at day 15. Depending on that, the shape period you calculate, the shape period is also extended according to what is your cycle length. If your cycle length is less, then the shape period will be calculated accordingly. So I am not going to reduce during the time of contraception, that will be explained. Okay. Maturation of ovum and development of matured follicle takes place during this phase. Okay. So here, I will not go through this. So let's see what happens. In the ovary, this is the cortex, medulla. In the cortex, there are several follicles. There are several follicles. They are primordial follicles. What are primordial follicles? The initial stage. Okay. What are the primordial follicles? There is the ovum, and it is in which stage of meiotic division? During the first stage of meiotic division means halted at prophase. Okay. So this is the ovum, and outside these there are some cells, and these cells are few. Single layer, in between there are gap, and these are called, these cells are, this is the ova, and these are the granular cells. At day 5, what happens? Some of these have 8 to 12. They start maturing. What will happen? They will, so these are primordial follicles. Primordial follicles. So they develop into what? These granular cells, these granular cells, number is increased, and forms a complete layer of granular cells. Here, these cells were flattened. These cells were flattened, but here the cells are cuboidal. Here these are flattened. So size is also increased. This is the ovum and this is primary follicle. These changes occur without the help of aphasis. It happens spontaneously. When they are recruited, immediately without the support of aphasis, they develops into primary follicles. So this is the primary follicle. No, now it was primordial, now it is primary follicle. Then what will happen? This primary follicle become responsive to aphasis, responsive to aphasis, but not completely dependent. So because of this, what will happen? They will be further developed. What development? This is the ova, and outside these granulosa cells, they will form multiple layer of granulosa cells will be there around. Okay, multiple layer will be formed. Now these are secondary follicle. Now what will happen? One unique thing will happen. Outside the ovum, a layer of glycoprotein will be formed. That is called zona pellucida. This is very important. This zona pellucida made of glycoprotein is so important. So we know when an ova is ovulated, now it is going to be fertilized by the sperm, if sperm is available, and number of sperm, lakhs of sperm, they are coming to, all of them are having intention to fertilize the ovum. Everybody is coming to this ovum, but outside there is zona pellucida. Okay, come. So everybody is trying to enter. So among these sperms, somebody is having high motility, more powerful, he will come first. This sperm will come first. So maybe there are 2 or 3, they are also powerful. So all these powerful, they are trying to, outside this there are granulosa cells. So passing the granulosa cells, they will try to enter in zona pellucida. There will be one sperm will get first chance. Once this sperm enters into the zona pellucida, one will first enter. And it has the opportunity to fertilize this ovum. When this sperm enters here, crosses the zona pellucida, then what happens to zona pellucida? Becomes resistant to other sperms. When one is entered, then the zona pellucida become resistant to other. They cannot enter within. So that's why only one sperm can fertilize only one. Not only this. If you want to fertilize this ovum with the sperm of another species, then what will happen? Why it will be unable to fertilize? Because zona pellucida only allow the human sperms. The other sperms are not allowed to pass through. Otherwise, what would have happened? Manush, তো ল্যাবরেটরিতে মানুষের ঘরে অন্য বাচ্চা, মেয়েদের অন্যরকম বাচ্চা হতে পারে। So that's why this GnRH pellucida is very important. Okay. Glycoprotein, JP1, JP2 and JP3, they form the GnRH pellucida. Okay. Now the GnRH pellucida, so now I am drawing the GnRH pellucida. Next is ovum. Outside there GnRH pellucida. Then there is multiple layer of granulosa, multiple layer of granulosa. Hey, no noise please. Multiple layer. Then outside this layer, one basement membrane will be formed. Now they become membrane bound in the next stage. Now this, what are the stages going on? These are done under the influence of FSHs. Remember, under the FSHs. Now what will happen? Outside this membrane, another type, spindle-shaped cells will appear. Spindle-shaped cells will appear. So, these are called theca cells. What are these? Theca cells. So, theca layer will be formed. These are the theca layers, spindle-shaped cells will be formed. This is theca interna. This is, So, this is GnRH pellucida, only one could enter, not able to pass. This is GnRH pellucida, and this is what? Perivitellin layer, and outside these granulosa cells and theca cells. Okay. And these theca cells, the theca cells is important. The theca cells, in first layer is the theca interna. Then another layer will be formed, theca externa. In between theca interna and theca externa, then blood vessels will grow. Okay, and these blood vessels will supply required oxygen, required nutrients to the ovum. Because the ovum is maturing, granulosa is maturing, so their nutrition is needed, so that blood is needed. Moreover, this blood is also essential for some other purpose for ovulation.